In life, there are countless times when we have to face insulting words and contemptuous actions from others. Those moments not only test our patience, but also awaken the hidden negative emotions within each of us. How can we remain calm, avoid reacting impulsively, and control our minds in such situations? Stoic philosophy, through the profound thoughts of Marcus Aurelius, one of the great philosophers and emperors of Rome, offers us invaluable lessons on how to deal with insults. Stoicism is not just a philosophy of thought, but also a guide for daily living, teaching us how to control our emotions, maintain our dignity, and find peace amidst the storms. Let's explore the deep principles of Stoicism and learn how to face insults with calmness, wisdom, and nobility, just as Marcus Aurelius did. As usual, I have a small challenge for you. Watch the video until the end if you are truly serious about staying calm in all circumstances and developing yourself. Leave a comment, accept the challenge to practice perseverance, and let's begin with the first part of today's video. Number 1. Happiness and confidence. When facing insults, maintaining happiness and confidence is the key to overcoming negative emotions and not letting others' words hurt you. Marcus Aurelius, in his work Meditations, once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, guard accordingly, and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature." This means that we control how we feel about insults. The person who insults us can say whatever they want, but we have the choice of how to respond. When we are confident and understand our self-worth, negative words become meaningless. Happiness does not lie in controlling circumstances or others' words, but in our souls. Others can only insult us if we allow their words the power to hurt us. If we understand that our value cannot be diminished by the negative opinions of others, we become strong and unshaken. Let's ask ourselves, why do we let the words of someone unimportant steal our peace? Is our confidence so fragile that a few insults can make us lose faith in ourselves? When we cultivate self-confidence and truly understand our worth, our happiness becomes much harder to shake. A more remarkable example of overcoming ridicule and insult can be found in the life of Edith Wharton, one of the most prominent American novelists of the 20th century. Wharton was born into a wealthy aristocratic family in New York, but grew up in a closed society where women were restricted to traditional roles and discouraged from pursuing literature or personal careers. From a young age, Wharton showed a passion for literature, but she was constantly mocked and ridiculed by family and friends who believed that women should not dream of writing. Wharton's first works were rejected by both her family and society, who deemed women's writing as ridiculous and useless. However, instead of giving up, Wharton continued to persevere in her passion and affirm her values. She was confident that her writing could change the rigid perceptions of women at the time. In 1921, Edith Wharton became the first woman in history to win the Pulitzer Prize for fiction with her novel The Age of Innocence. Wharton's success not only exemplifies confidence, but also demonstrates the power of self-belief in the face of insults and societal pressures. She proved that regardless of barriers or ridicule, personal value and confidence will always lead a person to success. So, if Edith Wharton could face insults in a world full of prejudices and restrictions, why should we let negative words from others hold us back? Do you have enough confidence to pursue your path despite all the criticism? Number 2. Actions and words. We live in a world where words can quickly become sharp weapons, capable of deeply hurting or even destroying a person's spirit. But how can we avoid being drawn into that negative spiral when insulted? Stoic philosophers teach that words are only a small part of how we respond to the world around us. What truly matters is our actions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." This means that instead of using words to defend ourselves or retaliate against insults, we should let our actions speak for us. When others insult us, responding with words can often escalate the conflict, whereas calm and humane actions have the power to make the person who insulted us reflect on their own behavior. Ask yourself, why should we respond to an insult with another insult when our actions can prove otherwise? When someone insults you, responding with calm and composure not only shows your control over your emotions, but also represents the highest expression of maturity and wisdom. A notable example can be found in the life of Mahatma Gandhi. During India's struggle for independence, he was frequently insulted, scorned, and belittled by the British colonial authorities. However, instead of responding with bitter words, Gandhi chose to act in silence and patience. He remained steadfast in his method of non-violence, allowing his compassionate and resilient actions to speak for themselves. This not only helped him preserve his dignity, but also left no room for his attackers to continue their assaults. So, what will you do when insulted? Will you choose to respond with words, or will you let your actions reflect your true character? Stoicism advises us always to remember that action is the most powerful voice. We have the power to choose our response and control how we conduct ourselves in the face of unworthy words. Number 3, listening and acting. In moments when we face insults, the natural human reaction is often anger, self-defense, or retaliation. But a more profound and surprising response is to listen. Listening is not merely about understanding the insulting words, but also about comprehending the root of the issue and reacting wisely. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Listening is not only an act of calmness, but also an opportunity for us to act more intelligently, instead of being swept away by negative emotions. Ask yourself, why is this person insulting me? Are they carrying some pain or frustration within themselves? Or is it simply an unreasonable reaction from them? Listening allows us to put ourselves in the other person's shoes and realize that the words they use may not truly reflect who we are, but may instead be an expression of deeper issues within themselves. By listening with patience and wisdom, we not only reduce tension, but also find a more appropriate way to respond. A concrete example is Wangari Maathai, the Kenyan environmental and human rights activist, who, when starting the Green Belt movement, faced ridicule and insults from the government, where officials called her a troublemaker. Instead of responding with anger, she chose to listen to the deeper concerns within society and understood that their opposition stemmed from a fear of losing power. By continuing to act peacefully and plant trees, she brought about positive change without direct confrontation. She persisted in planting trees and organizing workshops despite being arrested and beaten. Her way of listening and acting not only helped protect the environment, but also changed perceptions about human rights and nature. In 2004, Wangari Maathai became the first African woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize, proving that listening intelligently and acting with a larger goal in mind can create powerful change. Listening does not mean accepting or surrendering, but rather it is a way for us to act correctly and more intelligently. Instead of answering insult with insult, we choose the higher road. As Marcus Aurelius advised, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Join the conversation in our comments section. So, the next time you are insulted, which path will you choose? Will you react immediately, or will you listen and think before acting? What if listening helps you see the issue from an entirely different perspective? We would love to hear your stories. Number 4, self and relationships. Perhaps one of the greatest challenges for each of us is not the direct insult itself, but how we maintain balance between ourselves and our relationships when insulted. Life is never without harsh words and actions that degrade our dignity. But Stoic philosophy teaches us that how we respond is what truly matters. This means that insults from others are not always a reflection of who we are. Sometimes they are an expression of the inner turmoil within the person. In any relationship, whether with friends, family, or colleagues, there will be times when we face hurtful words or actions. However, instead of reacting immediately, ask yourself, can I remain calm and clearly distinguish between myself and the person who insults me? Self-control and an understanding of our worth are key. Let's consider a real-life example. Eleanor Roosevelt, one of the most prominent feminist figures of the 20th century. She was not only the First Lady of the United States, but also a human rights activist who faced a great deal of ridicule and insults, especially in her role as a woman during a time when American society was still rife with gender prejudice. Eleanor Roosevelt was criticized and belittled by both political opponents and major newspapers, many of whom even mocked her appearance and demeanor. They claimed she was unfit to participate in the country's major political discussions or to try to change society through her advocacy for women's rights, racial equality, and the rights of the underprivileged. Instead of responding to these insults, Eleanor Roosevelt did not let personal attacks affect her work or her relationships. She maintained her connection with the community and continued her fight for human rights. She skillfully used the criticism to demonstrate her resilience and strength, emphasizing, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." She held firm in her belief in herself and did not let insults weaken her relationships with those she was striving to help. She knew that true value does not come from how others perceive you, but from the belief in what you are doing and the value you bring to the community. So, in your relationships, when insulted, how will you choose to respond? Can you maintain your confidence and calm to preserve meaningful relationships without letting hurtful words affect your goals and ideals? Number 5. Keeping secrets. In life, there are times when we face insults, not just from the outside, but sometimes from those we once trusted. Such insults can result from the exposure of secrets we share, and that can be one of the most painful experiences. Stoic philosophy teaches us how to deal not only with insults, but also with betrayal by protecting ourselves through controlling personal information and keeping private what we do not want others to use against us. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control." This is not advice to encourage concealment or passivity, but wisdom in understanding that what we share with others can become a weapon against us in the future. Keeping secrets not only protects us from insults, but also helps maintain inner peace, preventing others from easily disrupting our mental tranquility. Ask yourself, have you ever felt hurt when a personal secret was exposed by someone else? This can happen even in the closest relationships, where trust is taken advantage of. But instead of reacting with anger or trying to seek justice, Stoic philosophy advises us to learn how to control ourselves. When someone insults or betrays us, that is the moment to remind ourselves that true strength does not come from controlling others, but from the ability to remain firm and not allow those negative actions to invade our inner self. In reality, consider the case of Edith Wilson, the wife of President Woodrow Wilson. She kept many secrets about her husband's declining health during his presidency, even when faced with criticism and rumors from the outside. She maintained her discretion not only to protect her husband, but also to avoid causing instability in the country. Her determination to keep those secrets and not let insults affect her decisions became a symbol of resilience and self-control. So, when facing someone who insults you, can you keep your secrets and not reveal your weaknesses? As Marcus Aurelius taught, silence can sometimes be the strongest weapon. We want to take a moment to thank and congratulate you for making it halfway through today's video. Your presence here shows that you are fully prepared for this journey. Now, shift your focus to the remaining 5 principles of pausing thought in the process of self-improvement. Number 6. Hard work and learning from mistakes. When facing insults, there is no stronger response than focusing on working hard and learning from your own mistakes. Life is always full of criticism and envy, but Stoic philosophy teaches that how we react to these things determines our true worth. Insults belong to the realm of things we cannot control, but how we work and learn from challenges is entirely within our power. When insulted, instead of reacting with anger or disappointment, turn those insults into motivation to work harder, improve yourself, and learn from your mistakes. A prime example of this is Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks. In the early days of his career, he was insulted by many in the investment world who believed that the idea of creating a coffee chain was far-fetched and doomed to fail. However, Schultz did not let the criticism discourage him. Instead of responding, he focused on building Starbucks from its early failures, learning from strategic mistakes, and gradually creating a global brand. The question is, when insulted, are you ready to persevere and work harder to prove your worth? Can you turn mistakes into opportunities for learning, or will you let insults bring you down? Stoic philosophy teaches that instead of being led by emotions, we should focus on what we can control, specifically our efforts and continuous learning. Working hard not only reflects perseverance, but also demonstrates resilience in the face of challenges. Mistakes are not the end. They are opportunities to reflect and grow. So, when faced with insults, let your actions and self-improvement be the answer. The journey of personal growth is the most beautiful form of revenge against those who insult you. Number 7. Confidence and success. Have you ever wondered why insults can hurt us so much? They are not physical wounds, yet they leave a deep mark on the soul. Perhaps when someone insults us, they are targeting our confidence. However, in Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius teaches that true success does not depend on what others say, but on our ability to maintain confidence and calm in the face of any harsh words. Confidence is not something easily shaken by a few hurtful comments, and success cannot be judged by how others perceive us. If we allow insults to affect us, we are giving others control over our emotions. That is when confidence gets damaged and success becomes more distant. Imagine a successful entrepreneur being criticized for his strategy. If he loses faith in himself and starts acting out of fear, will success still come to him? In reality, Many of the most successful people in the world, from Steve Jobs to Oprah Winfrey, have faced countless insults and criticism. However, they did not let those words define their value. They maintained their confidence and continued to act with reason and clear goals. Stoicism teaches us that success is not just about the outcome, but also about how we face obstacles along the way. A truly confident and successful person does not react to insults with anger or haste. Instead, they choose calmness, knowing that their worth is not dependent on what others think. Have you ever thought that if we do not let those words touch us, what else can the insulters do? Success and confidence, in essence, are the mastery of oneself in the face of any insult. And that is the valuable lesson from Marcus Aurelius, as well as from real-life examples. Number 8. Silence and wisdom. When someone insults you, the first feeling is often a surge of anger, like a powerful wave sweeping away the calm within you. But have you ever wondered, could silence sometimes be the strongest response? Silence is not weakness. It is a manifestation of wisdom, the choice of a strong soul, one who understands that unnecessary retaliation is pointless and leads to loss of control. Every insult carries within it the instability of the person delivering it. When you respond with silence, you refuse to give them control over your emotions. Silence does not mean surrender. It is a way to keep your mind clear and avoid being swept up in negative emotions. Ronald Reagan, the charismatic president and leader, once said, "Don't waste your time with explanations. People only hear what they want to hear." This resonates with the Stoic philosophy. Silence is the most powerful weapon in the face of insults. Imagine, for example, a dissatisfied colleague speaking harshly to you. You have the right to react sharply, but will that do anything other than drag you into an endless cycle of arguments? Instead, when you remain silent and do not let your mind be swayed, you'll be surprised by the power of silence. The other person will gradually become confused, and your calmness will help diffuse the tense atmosphere. Stoic philosophy not only teaches us to control our emotions, but also reminds us of the value of avoiding unnecessary arguments. You cannot change others, but you can control how you react to them. Sometimes, the deepest response is silence, as it shows that you are not overwhelmed by negative emotions and that your wisdom is strong enough to rise above the attacks. So, the next time you are insulted, ask yourself, could silence be the most valuable response at this moment? You will realize that maintaining your calm is how you regain control and master yourself. We have just explored the power of silence and wisdom, factors that drive success and personal growth. Now, we would like to introduce you to another equally powerful tool in building relationships and gaining respect from others: trust. When someone insults or demeans you, the first thing that often becomes shaken is not self-esteem, but trust. Trust in others and even in yourself. In relationships, trust is the most solid foundation. And when that foundation is eroded by harsh words, how can we keep our spirit steady amid the storm? Number 9. Relationships and trust. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius, who faced not only personal insults but also the pressures of power and politics, once said, "When people injure you, ask yourself what good or harm they thought would come of it. If you understand that, you'll feel sympathy rather than outrage or anger." This is not just advice on how to view those who insult you, but also a way to preserve trust in yourself and your relationships. The insult of another is not proof of your weakness, but evidence of their instability. In relationships, when you build trust based on respect and understanding, Insults from the outside or even from within should not shake you. If someone intentionally insults you, ask yourself, does that person truly deserve your trust? If they cannot maintain basic respect, is the relationship worth continuing? Imagine you are in a long-term romantic relationship. Your partner, due to stress from work or personal issues, begins to hurl insults and make unfounded criticisms. At first, you feel hurt and want to retaliate immediately to protect yourself. But if you pause and reflect, does anger really solve the issue? Are these harsh words truly a reflection of their character, or just an expression of temporary instability? In that moment, the Stoic philosophy of Marcus Aurelius helps you view the situation with greater clarity. You understand that impulsive reactions only further damage the relationship, and what is needed more is calmness and compassion. Instead of retaliating, you can choose to understand the deeper causes behind their behavior. This shows that in relationships, not every insult needs a response. Only those who truly respect you are deserving of your trust. And when insulted, instead of losing your peace, remember that self-control is the key to preserving both the relationship and inner tranquility. Number 10. Maturity and generosity. True maturity isn't about responding to every harsh word with anger, but about staying calm and viewing the situation objectively. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil." This quote reminds us that those who offend us often act out of their own insecurities and inner turmoil, not because of who we are. Instead of retaliating with the same level of bitterness, maturity helps us understand that hasty reactions only pull us into the negative spiral they create. Maturity also manifests through generosity, not in material terms, but in the generosity of the soul. Instead of harboring resentment, we can choose forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean agreeing with bad behavior, but freeing ourselves from the control of negative emotions. In life, successful people are often those who know how to overlook offenses and not let them derail their greater goals. For example, many famous leaders choose to remain calm and even respond with kindness when publicly criticized, like Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi. They don't let insults bring them down. Instead, they use patience and tolerance to build their credibility. So which path will you choose? React immediately and lose your peace, or cultivate generosity and maintain maturity in every action? Stoic philosophy teaches that true strength lies not in retaliation, but in the ability to keep one's soul undisturbed by harsh words. When faced with insults, we often get caught up in a whirlwind of emotions, easily letting anger take control. But through the lens of Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius points us towards a different path, the path of serenity and wisdom. He reminds us that what offends you is not in others, but in how you choose to react. Insults can only hurt you if you give them that power. In this turbulent world, maintaining inner peace is not only a sign of maturity, but also a manifestation of inner strength. Let harsh words pass like the wind while keeping your heart as a tranquil sea. This is how to respond to insults with wisdom and self-control, for no one can harm you unless you allow it. In silence, in compassion, you find your true strength, the strength of a soul unshaken by fleeting words. This is the essence of Stoic resilience, the way Marcus Aurelius faced life. If you found this video helpful, Don't forget to hit the like button to support the channel. Share your thoughts in the comments. Share the video with friends and family to spread the values of Stoic philosophy. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss upcoming videos on Stoic living and personal development.